much mother cry. Them a fight, 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 fight. Them one another killing off. Them black brother. Them a fight, 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 fight. Them one another killing off. Them black brother every day in every town. You hear them stabbing, shooting one another down. Them a fight, 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 fight. Them one another killing off. Them black brother. Them a fight, 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 fight. Them one another killing off. Them black brother. Oh, people stop this killing. People stop this fighting. Oh, we must live together. Oh, yeah. Oh, why? Tell me why. There's so much blood in the streets. Why so much mother cry? Them a fight, 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 fight. Them one another killing off. Them black brother. Them a fight, 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 fight. Them one another killing off. Them black brother. Stop it! Them one another. Won't you hear me?
No, it's completely different. As I would experience. It doesn't make sense. He's only curious. Don't take it serious. Oh, Tom, you can't take it more now. You're getting weak. Oh, Tom, don't stop playing hide and seek. Oh, why do you think you're not lined up? Oh, don't think about it much 'cause you're still caught. You have fun on experience. Nothing is ours about thinking about sense. He's only curious. Don't take it serious. Don't take it serious. Oh, they say you're acting like a star. They say not everything's wonderful. You want money, girls, urgently. Too much too soon, you wait and see. You have no answers to the good things. Take my dirty kiss. They want to stop you having kids. Don't fuck things up by getting sick again. You have nothing he does ever makes sense. He is only curious. Don't take it serious. You have fun and experience. Nothing he does about nothing he says. He's only curious. Don't take it serious. Don't take it serious. Don't take it serious.
Well, the old landlady is calling the cops 'cause me and old cats keep doing the bops. Keep beating on the door, freaking out. Since we gotta move across the rocking to the left, yeah, me and my baby gotta have a house party tonight. I need a room to rock. Well, we start rocking, we just can't stop. Gotta have room to rock. A lot of room to rock, 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 rock. Well, I went downtown, I said, "We're in control." I said, "So when they pass the law, let's rock and roll." I found a cool pad on the railroad track. Come on, rock cats, let's shake this shack. Me and my baby gotta have a house party tonight. I need a room to rock. Well, we start jumping, we just can't stop. Gotta have room to rock. I need a whole lot of room to rock, rock, rock. Rock, rock, rock.
And first off, you heard from a guy called Leroy Sibbles, used to be with a band called the Heptones. That was Blood in the Streets. After that, one of the most important bands in England, an all-girl band. Well, they used to be an all-girl band. They had a male drummer for a while. A band called The Slits, and So Tough, a song that was originally written about Sid Vicious when he was still alive. And after that, one of the hottest bands playing around New York at the moment, Levi and the Rockettes, and an unreleased single of theirs, Room to Rock.
Some great stuff. Now, we'll start this as kind of a history, all right? How did you initially get picked by The Clash?
Put me on the spot there.
I did.
I'd been working, I suppose, on a kind of parallel with them, as a new wave disc jockey, who always understood that it wasn't just music that was being made in 1976 that mattered, but was any vital music from any era. So I was playing music from Eddie Cochran through to some of the great 60s stuff, R&B, 60s soul music and reggae music, because there has been very much a parallel development in England between reggae and new wave, because they've basically been expressing things that black and white youth have been going through. And they're an astute bunch of lads, The Clash, and they obviously sussed that I was musically as a DJ doing what they believed musically as a band. And I did a couple of one-off gigs with them and got asked to do the British tour, which took place the winter of '78. And then I got asked to come to America with them in February, and here I am again, or here I was again. You know, I've just been hanging out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. They feel that it is absolutely necessary to get the audience in tune with what they believe in.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that they're aware that it's a show that's on it. It's a whole evening's entertainment. It's not just a case of do the show and take the money and run, do their gig and take the money and run. It's a fact that they're concerned with the whole atmosphere, the whole vibe that's being created from the moment the first punter walks in the door till when the last one leaves at the end of the evening. That means that they think carefully about the support bands who go on the road with them, or who do gigs, even one-off gigs with them. And the DJ is there to coordinate it all, mean that there's somebody that people can relate to, that if there are any problems, it's not just a promoter in a big bow tie and evening dress, that the person who's actually talking to them, the person who's saying, look, sorry about this, we got a few technical problems, the band are going to be a little bit later, is somebody who's been there on the spot all evening, somebody who hopefully has gained the confidence of the audience. Not always, but...
Have you ever had problems like that where an audience is a bit hostile or something?
Oh, yes, yeah, and in some ways it makes the best gigs. I mean, I'm not encouraging people out there to spit at me and throw cans at me and throw heavy verbal at me, but as it happens, the gig we did in LA on this recent tour, there was a very rowdy element in the audience, and in some ways I think it was my coming of age, because I stood there and I thought, now I'm not going to take this. I'm doing something that's worthwhile. They could be sitting listening to yet another tape of the Eagles' greatest hits, or Boston or Kansas or Foreigner and all those horrible rock dinosaurs that are around. They're getting somebody who is making an effort to do something different, to make them aware of a whole multitude of music that is all part and parcel of the same scene. And I just gave it back to them. I gave them more verbal than they were giving me. You know, any stick they gave me, they got it back and 3 times worse. And in fact, I haven't seen it, but apparently the LA Times wrote up the fact that the DJ gave the audience a tongue lashing. And they deserved it, you know. But it was great for me. It was... I'd come off stage and I'd feel great. I was really bouncing about because they'd picked me up to a new level. You know, when an audience sits back and doesn't respond either in a good or a bad way,
then you know you're failing.
Well, it's not even that. Well, yeah, partly you're failing, but it's a case of, you know, you might go, come on, what's the matter with you? You know, we're here to have a party, we're here to have a good time. But if they're there and they're just that kind of audience, then I think rock and roll gigs are very much about, it's a two-way process. You know, it's a case of a band going on there to entertain and, you know, maybe in rare occasions educate. But it's also about an audience going along to enjoy themselves, or if they really hate what's going on, to let people know. I can't stand an audience that just sit back and say, oh, entertain me, you know, but aren't really making any effort.
Right.
You know, that's what I mean. It's a two-way number.
You've been in the city, I guess, what, about a week or so? Just kind
No,
of,
I've been here about 2.5 weeks.
kind of after the tour is over.
Yeah. Everybody decided to just do whatever they felt for a little while, and I've been promising myself to come to New York for a few years, and here I am, folks. You know, and it's been great. Everybody's been very friendly. I've, you know, I can't thank people enough, you know. I mean, before I leave, there are a few people I'd like to give name checks to, because...
It sounds like the Emmy Awards.
Yeah, right. And the award for the man doing the best services for reggae in this city goes to Lister.
Yes.
Who's a great man.
Yes.
Great man.
He is.
And we'll come on to that a little bit later, because I want to talk about reggae music, because I don't think the people of New York are getting enough opportunity to hear it, which is why you're going to hear another one right now.
Okay.
And this is a man who's going to be playing in the New York City area, I think round about the end of November, and he's one of the best. It's Linton Kwesi Johnson, and listen to the words of this one. It's Sonny's Letter.
At WPIX FM New York, the next 25 years of rock and roll.
Brixton Prison, Jeb Avenue, London Southwest to England. Dear Mama, good day. I hope that when these few lines reach you, they may find you in the best of health. Mama, I really don't know how to tell you this, cause I did make a solemn promise to take care of little Jim and try my best to look out for him. Mama, I really did try my best, but nonetheless, I'm sorry to tell you, sir, poor little Jim get a rest. It was the middle of the rush hour when everybody just a hustle and a bustle to go home for them evening shower. Me and Jim stand up waiting for a bus, not causing no fuss, when all on a sudden a police van pull up. Out jump 3 policemen, all of them carrying baton. Them walk straight up to me and Jim. One of them hold on to Jim, say him taking him in. Jim tell him to let go of him, for him not do nothing, and him not a thief, not even a button. Jim start to wriggle, the police start to giggle. Mama, make I tell you what them do to Jim. Mama, make I tell you what them do to him. Them thump him in him belly and it turn to jelly. Them lick him pan him back and him rib get up. Them lick him pan him head but it tough like lead. Them kick him in him seed and it started to bleed. Mama, I just couldn't stand up there and do nothing. So me juke one in him eye and he started to cry. Me thump one in him mouth and him started to shout. Me kick one pan him shin and him started to spin. Me thump him pan him chin and him drop on a bin and crash and dead. Mama, more policemen come down and beat me to the ground. Them charge Jim for sus. Them charge me for murder. Mama, don't fret. Don't get depressed and downhearted. Be of good courage till I hear from you. I remain your son, Sonny.
Gun the man down, 7 ways from sundown. I can beat you 7 ways from sundown. Run the man down. Run the man down.
I put my baby on radio. He played it all day. I go. He liked to dance to it down in the streets. He said he loved me, but he loved the beach. But when I see John, I wrote it down. I can see it driving me so wild. I put my baby on radio. He said he loved me, but he had to go.
It's just the same old show.
On my radio,
It's just the same old show.
on my radio,
It's just the same old show.
on my radio,
It's just the same old show.
on my radio, on my radio, on my radio, on my radio.
It does the same old show on my radio. It does the same old show on my radio. It does the same old show on my radio. It does the same old show on my radio. Just 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 the same old show.
Benton Kwesi Johnson started that lot off with Sonny's Letter. That's all about this thing we got in England called the sus laws, otherwise known as when a lot of black youth in England get arrested on suspicion. I believe it's happening here in New York as well these days. After that, the Prince of Ska music, which is the roots of reggae, the 60s roots of reggae, Prince Buster and Gun the Man Down. Incidentally, he did a song called Al Capone, and like, if you think the Specials Gangsters, which is a great song, don't get me wrong, and they're a great band, but they stole the riff from that song, Al Capone.
so.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, another band who are on Two Tone, a band who worked live in concert with the Specials and Madness, a band called Selector, and on my radio, which is what we are at the moment, on your radio, WPIX. That all right? That sound like a good station ID?
Yeah. Scratchy, you have had an opportunity to listen to radio going on in New York, I guess, all the different things. What are your impressions of it?
Not just because I'm here tonight, but I think WPIX is doing the best job of the stations that I've been able to hear in New York. But I think there are a couple of gaps in what you're presenting to the people in New York. One, very much, is reggae music. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. I don't know her, but I felt a bit insulted at about 4 o'clock this afternoon when I was listening. Jane Hamburger came on the air and she said, "Right, this is where we go into the next 25 years of rock and roll and reggae. And I thought, great, action at last. I mean, something other than the Specials or Bob Marley and the Wailers or Peter Tosh. And she went into the Police. And I gulped because I felt insulted as somebody who's listened to reggae for many years, and I felt particularly insulted for the people who are creating such a lot of great music in Jamaica, here in America, and also Britain, all the real reggae acts that they are. And I felt, you know, that if this is the consciousness towards reggae music, then there's a long way to go over here in America, because there's a lot happening. I mean, I hope you've just heard in a few of the tracks that I've played tonight that reggae music is happening. It's danceable. It's got a great message, a lot of it. I mean, sure, some of it's religious, some of it's Rastafarian, which maybe we can't relate to, but they're still putting a lot along the same kind of message that a lot of punk new wave people have been doing. We were all going through sufferation in England, in Jamaica, in America, and there's always been this affinity in Britain, and it's something I'd like to see happen in America. I'd like to see Americans become more aware of it.
Well, you are right about the state of the consciousness right now. It is a fact that just in the last, I think, 2 years that Bob Marley and Peter Tosh have become well-known names in this country. And when we've had reggae artists on this program, there's been always a lot of telephone calls of people asking about the music and hearing it for the first time almost.
I feel with Scratchy that there's a lot of room within the station to have some more reggae feel and reggae artists on.
Well, you play the records.
Yeah, well, I do play some of that
That's
stuff.
telling you. No, it can be done. I was saying to Dan just a little bit before when the records were playing that it is difficult, that if you haven't been listening to the music for a long time, to just jump straight in at the deep end and know what you're talking about. And, you know, there's a whole different types of reggae. If we had time, I could talk to you about rockers and dub music and toasting and so on, and I'd love to do it. I'd love to tell you all about it and tell the people out there all about it, but we're limited for time tonight, and it does take time to like get into it. It's taken me a long time. I'd just like to add, it's not just reggae that I think is being missed out, and again, you know, you are making the effort. You do have that thing called, is it the No Label Show or something?
No Major Record
No
Show.
Major Record Label Show. But I still think there'd be more room to hear from independent new wave acts, both American and British, because you're right, we are going into the next 25 years of rock and roll. We've just come out of the last 25 years, and a lot of these bands are making, some of them will like make one single and then disappear back to being garage attendants and so on. But there are some great records coming out, like this next one that I'm going to play for you, which is a guy who is from, I think it's North Carolina, and he lives and works in a record shop in this city. And I've played this record on import as far as England's concerned, for a year and a half. I don't know how long it's been out. And wherever I play it, people come up and ask me who it is. I did a sort of hour spot at Tracks the other night, and people were coming up and asking me, what is this? The DJ who works there wanted to know what it is. And I think this might be the first airing it's ever got on WPIX. And let's hear it for Peter Holesapple and Big Black Truck.
All right, and Scratchy, you'll be hanging out with us for a bit more here.
Will do.
Well, I got laid off in the state, was the longest I got me.
That's Peter Halsapple with the Big Black Truck on Radio PIX 102.
Scratchy, I guess you'll be back the next time the Clash is back.
Yeah, when that'll be, I don't know. You know,
So-
we've got things to do. We haven't toured at home for a little while. You know, it's various other commitments have meant we haven't been able to do it. So we've got the domestic territory to do, England and Europe. But yeah, I'm sure we'll be back sometime in the 80s. You know?
Yeah.
I want to before I go. I know this sounds as though I'm on a quiz show or something, but as I've been here for 2.5 weeks, there are a few people I'd just like to say thank you to. So
Hey, you've
for
made
helping-
some friends just on the phone tonight.
Oh, yeah, well, that's nice as well. It's nice to know people are listening, you know. And whatever I said, I know I was knocking them, but listen to WPIX because they're doing better than anybody else out here anyway. But I'd just like to mention a few people. Frankie and Neela, Lister and Moody, who are the two main reggae men that I've come across in this town. Bleeker Bob for lending me a few records. He's a good guy. If you want to get insulted, go down to his Golden Oldies shop. Debbie and Scott, Patty for giving me somewhere to stay whilst I was here, and in particular to Steph, despite it all. Okay?
Is the Clash going to record a new record soon? Is that?
There is an album that's recorded,
Oh.
that's in the stages of final mixing at the moment. And if there's any justice in the rock and roll world, it's going to be a killer. I mean, it's a killer anyway, musically, but we'll wait to see if the public respond to it. If they don't, well, they're the ones who are missing out, unfortunately.
Okay.
Thanks, Kat.
In response to a letter from Phil, and this looks like Phil, that's P.